The night was thick with tension, the kind that clings to your skin like damp fog. Lieutenant Marcus Kane stood in the dimly lit corridor of the naval base, his jaw clenched, his fist still tingling from the swing he'd just thrown. The crack of his knuckles against her jaw echoed in his memory, a sound that should have felt like victory, but instead left a sour knot in his gut. She'd crumpled to the floor, her dark ponytail splaying across the tiles. But her eyes, those piercing, unyielding eyes, never left his. They burned with something he couldn't place. Not fear, not pain. Something dangerous. He didn't know it then, but that moment would unravel his life in ways he could never have imagined. Welcome to the channel, where we dive into stories that grip your soul. Hit that subscribe button and join us for this unforgettable tale. Kane was a man built on control. A decorated officer at Naval Base Coronado, he'd climbed the ranks with a mix of charm and ruthlessness. At 38, he was tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that could sell a lie to a priest. His crew respected him, feared him even. But tonight, something had snapped. Ensign Riley Harper, the woman now clutching her jaw on the cold floor, had challenged him one too many times. She was new, barely 26, with a record so clean it gleamed and a mouth that didn't know when to quit. She'd called him out in front of the team, questioned his orders during a training op, her voice steady, her logic airtight. It wasn't just insubordination. It was a spark that threatened to burn down his carefully constructed world. "You think you're untouchable," he'd snarled, stepping closer, his shadow swallowing her smaller frame. The corridor was empty, the base quiet after hours. No witnesses. "You're nothing but a rookie with a big mouth." She'd stood her ground, her hazel eyes locked on his, unflinching. That's when he'd swung. Hard, fast, a reflex born of rage. The impact sent her staggering, but she didn't cry out. Instead, she wiped a trickle of blood from her lip, stood straight, and smiled. A slow, chilling smile that made Kane's blood run cold. "You're gonna regret that, Lieutenant," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper. Then she turned and walked away, her boots echoing in the silence. Kane didn't sleep that night. He sat in his office, the base's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, replaying the moment. He told himself it was nothing. She was just another subordinate who'd learn her place. But that smile, it gnawed at him. By morning, the base was buzzing with whispers. Not about the punch, no one had seen it, but about Riley Harper. Word was spreading that she wasn't just some fresh-faced ensign. There were rumors, fragments of her past that didn't add up. A classified mission in the Pacific. A training record that rivaled the best. And then, a single word that sent a shiver through the ranks: SEAL. Riley Harper wasn't just a Navy SEAL. She was one of the first women to complete the grueling BUDS training, a fact buried deep in her file, known only to a handful of brass. Kane didn't believe it at first. A SEAL. Her. She was 5'6", lean, with a quiet intensity that didn't scream elite warrior. But the more he dug, the more uneasy he grew. Her file was a maze of redactions, but what wasn't redacted was impressive top marks in marksmanship, hand-to-hand combat, and covert ops. She'd been handpicked for a Special Forces unit, deployed on missions that didn't officially exist. Kane's punch hadn't just struck a subordinate. It had struck a predator. Days passed, her Riley didn't report the incident. That should have been a relief, but it only deepened Kane's paranoia. She was everywhere, yet nowhere. During drills, she moved with a precision that made the other sailors look like amateurs. In the mess hall, she sat alone, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk, and every time their paths crossed, she'd give him that same smile. Sharp, knowing, like she was playing a game he didn't understand. Kane started losing focus. His orders came out sharper, his temper shorter. The crew noticed. Whispers turned to sidelong glances. He was unraveling, and he knew it. It was a week later when the first blow landed. Not a fist, but a rumor. An anonymous tip reached the base commander, alleging Kane had falsified training logs to cover up a botched op last year. The accusation was vague but damning, enough to trigger an investigation. Kane denied it, of course, but the timing felt too perfect. He confronted Riley in the training yard, his voice low and venomous. "You think you can play dirty, Harper? You're out of your league." She didn't flinch, just tilted her head, that infuriating smile creeping back. "I don't play dirty, Lieutenant," she said. "I play smart." The investigation deepened, and Kane's world began to crumble. Evidence surfaced, emails, timestamps, even a grainy security feed that showed him altering logs. He swore he'd never touched them, but the proof was ironclad. His allies on the base started to distance themselves. His reputation, once bulletproof, was bleeding out. He couldn't prove it, but he knew Riley was behind it. She wasn't just a SEAL, she was a ghost, moving through the shadows of the system, dismantling him piece by piece. Desperate, Kane made a fatal mistake. He cornered her again, this time in the armory, late at night. The air smelled of gun oil and steel. He grabbed her arm, his voice a hiss. "You think you can ruin me? I'll bury you first." Riley didn't pull away. Instead, she stepped closer, her voice calm but laced with steel. "You don't get it, do you? You didn't just hit me. You hit a SEAL. And we don't break." In a blur, she twisted his arm, forcing him to his knees before he could blink. Her grip was like iron, her movements surgical. "This is your last warning," she said, releasing him and stepping back. "Walk away, or I'll finish this." Kane didn't walk away. He couldn't. His pride, his career, his identity. They were all on the line. He doubled down, spreading rumors about Riley, questioning her loyalty, her competence. He thought he could turn the base against her, isolate her. But Riley wasn't alone. Other SEALs, men and women who'd trained alongside her, started to surface. They didn't speak much, but their presence was a warning. Kane was outmatched, and he was too stubborn to see it. The final blow came during a live-fire exercise. Kane was leading a team, his last chance to prove he was still in control. Riley was there, part of the op, her role minor but her presence impossible to ignore. The exercise was complex, a simulated hostage rescue with live rounds and high stakes. Kane's orders were sloppy, his focus shot. Midway through, a miscommunication led to chaos. A sailor was pinned down, caught in a crossfire. Kane froze, his mind racing with the weight of his crumbling career. That's when Riley moved. She was a blur of motion, cutting through the chaos like a blade. She flanked the enemy position, disarmed two hostiles with precision strikes, and dragged the pinned sailor to safety, all while under fire. The exercise was called off, the team stunned into silence. Riley didn't say a word, didn't gloat. She just stood there, her chest heaving, her eyes locked on Kane. The message was clear: this was what a SEAL could do. The fallout was swift. The botched exercise, combined with the investigation, was the final nail in Kane's coffin. He was relieved of duty, his career in tatters. Riley never pressed charges for the punch. She didn't need to. She dismantled him without ever raising a fist. As Kane packed his office, he found a note slipped under his door. No signature, just 3 words in neat handwriting. "You were warned." Riley Harper went on to lead her own team, her legend growing among the ranks. She never spoke of Kane, never bragged about what she'd done. But the story spread, whispered in barracks and mess halls, a tale of a woman who didn't just survive but thrived in a world that tried to break her. Kane faded into obscurity, a cautionary tale of what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. As the sun sets over Coronado, the base carries on, its rhythm unbroken. But for those who know the story, Riley Harper's name is a reminder some fights you don't see coming, and some warriors don't need to shout to win. Thanks for watching this journey with us. Drop a comment below, and let us know from which part of the country are you watching this video.
I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you. Folded hands, your love, support, likes, comments, and subscriptions mean the world to me. Without you, this journey wouldn't be possible. Every view, every share, and every encouraging word keeps me motivated to create more content for you all. I'm truly grateful to have such an amazing community by my side. Let's keep growing together and making this journey even more special. Red Heart.